Well, that's just some of the activity we're seeing out there at the moment. What's your outlook for the trading day ahead, given the tone the markets have started off with?
Well, yesterday we saw foreigners begin to be more active. I think Standard Chartered, who announced their results this morning, were the outlier we've been waiting to hear from, and they did give an increase of 20% on their dividend, which I think is going to spur trading at that counter. BAT retained only 3 million shillings out of their profits, which means they paid dividend, a huge dividend, which they always do. And I think investors have learned to expect that from BAT. So I don't think they are very interested in expanding, but they already have their market locally, and they seem to be holding out well. I think the week is going to be okay. We are seeing foreigners coming back, which means we could see some upward pressure on most of the stocks.
Let's hone in on Standard Chartered Bank's results there. It's reported a 43% rise in 2009 pre-tax profits. Safe to say, still the darling of the sector?
Well, Standard Chartered stuck to their guns through the bearish period and through the economic crisis, and so I think they're just reaping the benefits. But I think that the fact that they have stayed away from the rat race, which is the expansion, huge expansion and regional expansion, and also reaching out to the unbanked, will hit them if the economy, which has begun to turn around, does so at a high rate. If you look at how the other banks did in the past, before we got into the bearish period, you would notice that Standard Chartered was actually lagging behind the rest, in which case I'm talking about Barclays, Equity and KCB. But since they were expanding very heavily and they were investing very heavily in expansion, Standard Chartered remained very conservative during that period, and they have reaped the benefit during this period. But over a longer period, you will notice that the other banks did very, very well during the time when the economy was doing well.
Well, still conservative in expansion, but what stands out looking at the numbers here is that the bank reported that it saw a 31% jump in its loan book. Has that come to us as a surprise to the market at all?
Well, not really, because they have been running a tight ship. I must commend them for being able to weather the storm in such a great way. We did expect that Standard Chartered or Cooperative were the ones who were going to come out with really good results, because the central bank had said already that the average is 15% over the banking sector, and we'd seen all the big three announce results around the 10 to 5% growth. So it means we were expecting an outlier, and Standard Chartered seems to have been the outlier. And I think that they've done good. They have actually held on to their guns and proven that their decisions were right during that period.
Yep, well, certainly we saw a Standard Chartered Group report on a report yesterday, and so these results pretty much being expected. They've emphasized that Africa recorded an excellent set of numbers in the 2009 period. Income growth increased by 20% to $1 billion, and operating profits increased 54% as well. Wholesale banking in Africa delivering an exceptional performance, growing income by 30% and deepening client relationships across the continent. So despite their conservative expansion strategy seeming to have a handle on some of the continent there, let's take a look at an unusual player today, Samuel. Limuru Tea. I mean, as I was saying earlier, it's a highly illiquid counter. It saw over 50,000 shares trade at an improved average price of 325 shillings. What are some of the local investors thinking when it comes to this counter?
Well, this is something that happens every once in a blue moon. One of the culprits is usually City Trust. These companies, you'll notice, are on the alternative investment segment. They have very low shareholder numbers. And this means that it's normally a one-off deal where one shareholder sells off to another shareholder, or and a big chunk of what they're holding. And normally this usually bring in a spike in their price. We did see that with City Trust some time ago, where the price went up to 400 and something shillings. So it's not really a surprise. Usually when one of these companies trades, it does happen, but after that, then they go back to the, quiet, illiquid state again.